Willem, you're a lawyer in Namibia. What is so specific about Namibia? Why it is so much of interest to investors and the European Union at large?
Well, Namibia has gone through a long process, switching from the colonial state, apartheid state, in the 1990s. That process coming to an end in 1990, with the United Nations coming in to observe peaceful elections in Namibia, basically shifting from apartheid state to a full constitutional democracy. So, and even today, the UN still regards Namibia as one of its success stories. From having made a transition from a very difficult colonial past to a very peaceful, direction in terms of political and economic development. And I think the world really focused on Namibia. It was also around the time of the Cold War coming to an end, so that Namibia had sort of like the right situation where it came into a peaceful existence, which still today is the case.
What are the major resources that are so much of interest for the green transition? What has Namibia to offer?
Well, Namibia is the driest country in sub-Saharan Africa. It's also becoming prone to longer droughts. There are just so many things that are currently influencing Namibia. It's got a low population, huge abundance of land, lots of it is desert. So with the development of green hydrogen, renewable energies, it has become an attraction to explore the options to use that sort of renewable energy resources for the development of green hydrogen. Europe, on the other hand, has high populations. The EU is constantly looking for new partnerships, especially what is the global political situation with the Russians knocking on your door on the eastern side. So there's constantly new, people exploring new opportunities to gain access to new energy ideas and resources. So Namibia, being a politically stable country with relatively good policies towards investment, economic opportunities, it definitely makes Namibia an ideal partner as far as the European Union is concerned. So yes, so Namibia has all these resources. So it offers a lot to the European Union. On the other hand, it has a lack of skills. So in a way, it creates, from a positive perspective, it creates an opportunity to also empower the local people to gain more skills, to actually become equal partners in the development of their own destiny, their own natural resources. So ultimately, with the EU and all its policies towards human rights, economic development, support, and so forth, there is an opportunity to turn what could become a major development opportunity for Namibia, not only for the EU, but also for Namibia. It could become a major opportunity to create a win-win situation.
Okay, Willem, in your work as a lawyer, what are the issues that you have to deal with when you work with indigenous communities or local communities, people who are impacted by all these industrial developments?
So as a lawyer, the tools that you apply, you need to go and look at the law and the policy framework. And Namibia, with with a very sort of plural legal system, meaning in simple terms a legal system with many influences, whether it's from the European inheritance of the Roman Dutch common law, or whether it's from the indigenous peoples' rights that were there before the pre-colonial times, whether it's from the constitutional perspective, which is the supreme law of Namibia, or international law, which is all, once it's been ratified, it becomes part of the domestic law system. So those are the tools that you use as a lawyer in order to see, what the rights of people are. So, in other words, where there is a right, where you can establish a right, there's a way forward to bring a solution. That's, in simple terms, the work of a lawyer. So, given the history of Namibia with inequality that was created under colonial rule, and the ongoing inequalities that still exist in post-independence Namibia, as far as people having an ability to partake in their own destiny and their own development issues, being part of the broader development scheme, my role is to help these people to be heard, because in any legal system you need you need both sides of the story. So if people are not being included in decision making, if they are not part of the broader development issue, then the issues around a balanced development approach to a country becomes just much more skewed. So if you want to have a process of equal development, the law can help those people to actually become part of the bigger process of decision making that is not only good for human development skills or human rights, the acknowledgement of human rights, but also sustainable development, which is ultimately a UN target, sustainable development in the fighting of climate change and so forth.
So on a very local level, are there communities who are really protesting probably also, or concerned about what is on the horizon in terms of development? And do they seek for legal advice to challenge actually the state or the corporations? Are there cases like this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing with global corporate development, or where global corporations bring in, propose the development, there's often a situation where negotiations take part at a very high level. And quite often how those negotiations take place is unknown to the people who will actually be affected by those developments. So the whole point is, when you want to talk about equality in law, equality in development, those aspects have to be brought to the table. And it's a right of everyone to be included. We have in a previous clip, we've talked about free, prior, informed consent. That's not a concept that has just developed recently, but it goes back to a process of what we call natural justice. So that goes back to even before the Greeks decided, talked about democracy. It goes back to before the Romans started to talk about certain rights to people. It goes back, in fact, to the pre-colonial times around, indigenous communities in Africa. There's always been an aspect called, the other side should be heard. The other side should be given an opportunity to say what is bothering him or her in a proposed development. And if it's detrimental to a specific community, then they should be able to receive compensation for the losses that they're going to face. Or they should become part of benefiting from a development. So it's about being transparent with the people who are going to be affected by a certain development. It needs to be fair to the environment, because ultimately people and the environment, there's an interconnection. You know, with an environment that's damaged, it also damages us. If we don't have you know, a say over, you know, how the future is going to look for us. So with the European Union coming into Namibia and, you know, proposing these developments, what we would like to see is that those values, those human rights values, those environmental values that they so very much treasure and enforce in the European Union, that those same values should also be applied to the local people. And I think, you know, as a development partner, that should be promoted. And the more information people have on the ground as to, you know, what their rights are in these negotiations, the better, or the more sustainable, you know, these future development projects will be.
Thank you so much, Willem.
Sure.
It's very interesting. Thank you.
Pleasure.